Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for today. This was a review by request, but a different type of request. The writer actually reached out and asked if I would review his independent comic, and I agreed. I read it, got it done, and here we are. So I don't have the physical comic in front of me. I do have it in digital form. So I'm gonna use some editing magic, and I'm gonna have the shots that I'm looking at as I'm reviewing it, right here and everything. The link to this comic is going to be down below. All the information, all that stuff will be down below. So let's get started on this review, right? So the book is called StellarLands, issue number 1. It's from Comx Studios. It is written by Max Ferrada, art by Ben Worrell, colors by Wilson Go, letters by ECK, and editors Katrina, Roets. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of those names. It's no form of disrespect, just how I'm trying to read them. So StellarLands, as you can see right here, the cover is fantastic. I do have to say the art in the book is fantastic. It is a big size read. I want to say altogether I think it was 47 pages, which for an indie book is pretty good. Basic setup, it's kind of futuristic sci-fi, as you can see. We are with this colony, and they are enlisting a superhero, our main character. Her name is Daphne, but she goes by Anvil Lisa, or just Lisa. And the Anvil Lisa is part of like the company that she's from, but basically it's kind of like a military type of superhero situation. They're enlisting her for a covert mission. They basically go over like her, who she is and stuff like that, kind of in the book, and then they kind of go through with her debriefing, and they tell us what is going to go down. She's going to go to this place called Apocalypse, something like that, but she thinks she's going to the planet. Eventually, during the debriefing, as you can see, she finds out it's on a moon. At first, she, being a superhero and stuff like that, and the reason they enlist her, she assumes that she's going there to destroy like the base or whatever, and that's not the case. She is there to basically provide intel. They want her to go in, find as much intel in this base as they can, and the reason that they're so curious about the intel, or they want the intel, is because it's like a warring alien race that set down at this base for a little bit. So it'll give this army an opportunity to get a hands up kind of thing. So eventually we see the first title page and her taking off. She is in a spacesuit. We do find out, I think it's like 250 million light years of travel that she had to travel to get to this moon, but eventually she does get here. Shown here, one of the cooler things is the book features ads like showcasing the technology that's in the book. This first ad is a Flox color spray. Each ad kind of explains what it is and why it's there. This one, it's I think, what is it, is a decongestant. That's what it is. It's for travel and stuff like that. Eventually the book goes back, and it's kind of like a commercial in between. I enjoyed it. There was one that it was kind of like, yeah, but most of the other ones are kind of funny. The next one I'll show you. So anyway, she does manage to kind of crash land on this moon. It's like a frozen tundra. As soon as she gets there, there is this like warring race that she doesn't understand. Either her communicator is broke or something like that, but they instantly start attacking her, and she manages to get away. Eventually she is like stunned, as you can see here by this. It's kind of like a stun ring or something like that. And it knocks her out. She comes back to rather briefly, like it didn't knock her out that bad, and we kind of meet the other book's main characters. This is Neffin and Nell, but they look like they're just two stranded kids that have been left on the moon. We do find out that their parents had died, but not kind of related to the story. It's something different. Anyways, they end up like, they try to attack her with that stun thing, and then come to find out their gear, as you can see, is all old school or something like that, because they've been stuck on this moon for a long time. Eventually, it's kind of like this team up situation where they end up helping her get to the base and kind of explain, what's going on, that kind of stuff. This is the next ad that I was telling you about, and it's with that stun thing that hit her, and basically they're advertising the gun that as you can see it operates the same way. At this part of the book, we find out that she's suffering from alcohol abuse. It kind of comes out of left field, but as you can see, she wakes up. Well, she's asleep at this moment, which kind of caught me off guard. I didn't know why she was asleep, but she dozed off, and she's hungover basically. The kids happen to recognize the symptoms or something like that. This is when we find out how long the journey was, and the kids are kind of amazed because it's 250 miles that it took for her to get here, and she's still got the hangover or whatever. But she says it's like space beer, so it's better or something like that. They're getting closer to the base to get this intel, and Ashley's getting there. And she was kind of warned pre-hand that the ecosystem on this moon is very fragile, and we find out right here firsthand with this octopus-looking creature that comes out of nowhere. It looks like it's trying to attack her, and eventually the kids have to yell at her and tell her that the thing's not trying to attack her. It was just collecting stuff for its nest. So eventually she does some superhero stuff. She makes this big hole and kind of traps the creature, telling, the kids tell her that they need to get the creature out of the hole after they're done with the base kind of thing. They do manage to make it inside the base with like a little break after the little octopus guy. We get another commercial, and it's for a stun, like a spear gun for an underwater kind of travel thing. It's a joke towards the octopus creature kind of thing. Eventually they do make it in, and they do find out how derelict the outpost is and how in use it has been. But not only that, but it's still rigged with landmines. As they're looking through the land post, they manage to find this spacecraft that Lisa recognizes right off the bat, and it happens to be the spacecraft of the first pilot that went on the journey to explore space, and her name happens to be Nell as well. We find out that's why this little kid is named Nell, was because of that, that pilot. At this time, that Nell, the kid, wants to reveal why that pilot got lost, and there's this whole kind of nah, we don't need to do that right now from the superhero and stuff. As this is going on, you see all of a sudden a bomb comes in, and that warring faction has caught up with Lisa, and they start attacking everything. Eventually the two kids, as you can see, they make it outside. One of the other kids, I'm thinking it's Nell, she has a different thought. Instead of escaping, we see that Lisa pretty much takes out all the warring factors, the guys that barged in and stuff, with the help of some the kids. They hopped in the ship. We do get this ad from this, it's a Florian Hills private, and it's basically like a rehab center and stuff, and it relates to the whole alcoholism and stuff like that. Eventually the kids do double cross her, as you can see. She turns back around going to that ship, and they use that stun lock thing again. As soon as the kids get in the ship, they activate it. There was a comment that the comms were working, but they weren't sure the ship was working 100%. But as you can see, the kids start up the ship, and ba-boom, the ship blows up, and sadly the kids, they don't make it. Lisa's kind of hurt by this, and she sits there and cries for a second. She goes back into the base. She looks like she grabs her intel, and she grabs a little black box from that ship, it looks like. As she's leaving out, you can see she's pretty pissed off because the kids die, and she just destroys that octopus monster. The very last thing that we see is her taking off to go back to her home base, and the narration is kind of it's related to the whole the rehab center that was advertised right before, and it's basically it kind of looks like she's going to be suffering a little bit on the back of her journey. But that is it. The last couple pages of this book is a thank you for the people that did the Kickstarter, or that happened to help the book. There is a little paragraph on the writer. There's a little paragraph on the artist. I'll put all that here. There's a sketch gallery, and that's basically it. Some coming soon from Comx shop, but that's basically it. There's no preview to the next, because it's a digital comic. But that is my review on StellarLands issue number 1. My final thoughts: I loved it. I thought it was great. The art was fantastic. The story was, I wouldn't say it was simple, but it was simple enough for you to follow along and grasp what the book was trying to convey. I'm really looking forward to reading issue number 2. It was pretty good. But everything was good about this book. The art, the lettering, everything was easy to read. It wasn't a long read, even though it was a long book. It was pretty quick. But hey, that is my review on StellarLands. Please go check out Comx Studio. I will have the links on where you can get this book. But let's get the word out. If you happen to see this book and maybe enjoy what the content was about, go check it out. That's all I got. All right, guys. Bye.